Peace, everybody. Welcome to Capital Combat. Name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch, and today I'm going to recap this past Saturday's UFC 235. It was a pretty decent card. They had a lot of star power on there, a lot of potential for some really good fights, and in my opinion, it delivered. I was very intrigued by the title fights, a lot of cerebral positioning and action going on in there, and people like me that like to coach and learn the sport, it was a great affair. So, going into what we talked about in the preview video, which was Woodley and Usman and Smith and Jones, I'm going to talk about those. I did mention Ben Askren's UFC debut, which was a wild ride as well, but I'm not going to go into that. There was a controversial stoppage going on there. So if you want to talk about that, drop your thoughts about that down below and we can rap about it. Also, if you haven't done so yet, because I believe you'll like what you hear in this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, then hit the bell icon so you know every time Rob and I upload a video, you'll be able to see that and get in line first to watch it. So let's get into Kamaru Usman, who wrestled the title away from Tyron Woodley, and I mean that literally, because he put on a spectacular performance against someone who had been doing very well against a wide array of styles in Tyron Woodley. So tying it back into what I said into the preview video, I was thinking that Usman did need to crowd Woodley, needed to pile up points on the cage with the pressure, and create angles so that Woodley wouldn't be able to land his right hand. Now, in that preview video, I didn't think he was going to be able to do that. Not only did he do that, he completely nullified Tyron Woodley for the entirety of this fight. There was no point in this fight that Tyron Woodley was ahead at any time. And that is spectacular considering the run of guys he's been up against and the results that he got fighting those guys. So Usman comes in and is facing a guy with, I believe they said it's like a 97% takedown defense. 97%. And Usman took him down and took him down hard, often. You got to take your hat off to Kamaru Usman in the performance that he had on Saturday. Now, he showed a lot of people that he is not to be trifled with. I was a fan of his from the Ultimate Fighter days when he was on the Black Zillions versus ATT. I was rooting for him at that time. I wanted him to have a successful career. It was just at this fight, I didn't think he was going to be able to handcuff Woodley for 25 minutes. And oh boy, did he. He was able to create those angles that I talked about. Land some vicious right hands. Land some nice elbows. But mostly, it was just the outclassing in the wrestling department that is really surprising. Because Woodley is a top-class wrestler himself. And he usually uses it in a defensive way to keep other people from being able to out-wrestle him. And he can use that wrestling as a threat for his right hand. And his right hand was never a factor in this fight. I think he may have thrown it a good 2-3 times to where you thought that maybe, Usman might have had a little trouble. Usman had him on the back foot the entire fight. And usually that's something where Woodley is controlling the pace. Like, hey, I'm on the back foot because I'm waiting for you to make a mistake. He left no windows for Woodley to throw that right hand. He always came in at an angle. He always came in busy. He always had that pressure. And the physical strength of Usman just completely nullified everything that Woodley wanted to do. I was shocked at how much bigger Usman was than Woodley. I know he's a big guy, but I didn't know he was that much bigger and that much stronger than him. That was, and to quote what Woodley said, he said it was like a bad dream. Usman's nickname is the Nigerian Nightmare. So that's pretty much what it was. He described what it was in there. He's like, a bad dream. Yes, it was a bad dream in there. I mean, he was getting mounted, getting grounded, pounded, getting slammed. Not just taken down, getting slammed. This was a definitive domination from Kamaru Usman, who is now the 175-pound title. I mean, the 170-pound title holder, and has Colby Covington in his path for his first title shot. That's going to be a really interesting fight because both of those guys have a very similar style. Whereas I think Usman is better defensively than Covington, and he's also a lot more physically imposing because going by the guys that they fought similarly, Usman beat them in a more physically dominant way than Covington did, even though Covington did it first. So it's going to be really interesting to see, one, Covington have to back up his talk against someone top level, and Usman getting to prove that he is the man by beating the number one contender and the guy who earned the interim belt before Usman earned the full belt. So that's going to be a very interesting matchup to see. But congrats to Kamaru Usman. And last thing before I move on to the main event, that speech afterwards, man, you know, as a dad and someone who just roots for people who, you know, fight for everything they have, man, that was emotional. And me in my old age, I'm starting to get a little more emotional. Almost had a little tear come down, man. I was happy for him. I was like, man, you know, that was a great speech talking about, you know, oh, daddy did it, you know. I had that type of vision for my daughter too, like, you know, seeing your dad work hard and achieve the goals that he has set out to for you. Oh man, hit me right here. Probably not human if it didn't, because wow. Anyway, let me move on to the main event. Jon Bones Jones doing what he does against Anthony the Lionheart Smith. Now, Smith came in saying all the right things, and we all, you know, pretty much said, you know, it's nice to say those things, but it's a totally different game when you're in front of the man. And what Jon Bones Jones did is what Jon Bones Jones does. He pretty much took round one, which I gave to Smith. I think Jon came on late, but I didn't think it was just enough to pull the round out, even though there was some nice kicks towards the end. And Jones ended up losing 2 points later on because of an illegal knee that, you know, Smith was down. So it is what it is. But starting in round two, Jones came out and made a concerted effort to show Smith that he was in a different league than him. He started throwing those kicks at so many different levels and so many different arrays that he uses his feet like a lot of guys use their jabs, on top of actually using his jab. This was a comprehensive cerebral beatdown that by the end of the fight, Anthony Smith just had no clue on what to do. His team was like, go out there and throw your shots. But he was like, guys, this guy's hitting me and hitting me a lot, and I don't know how to stop it. And as a fighter, that's a hard thing to admit. And as a coach, that's something that, you know, you don't want to hear your fighter say, but they probably knew what he was, you know, feeling. You know, being on both sides of that. I fought and I am a coach now, so I know both of those mentalities. I can empathize with him. I can understand where Anthony Smith was coming from in that. And I can understand both the positions of his corner and Jones's corner, where it's like, you know what you need to do to nullify him and win this fight. And that's exactly what Jones did. Smith said afterwards that he didn't fight me, he nullified me. That is what the greats do. That was George St. Pierre's whole game. It was Demetrius Johnson's whole game. Floyd Mayweather's whole game. nullify what you do well and just open up on you until the opportunity for a stoppage comes. If that opportunity does not come, you don't get it. But you completely demoralize the opposing fighter to the point where they have no clue what to do anymore. And that's exactly what Jones did. So hats off to him. Hats off to Smith also for not trying to play that illegal knee into a DQ like you have seen a lot of fighters do in several different combat sports where, you know, they know they're behind. They know that, you know, the fight is getting away from them, and they use that to, you know, as their way to get out and also possibly get a win out of it. So shout out to Smith for that, not even crossing his mind. You could tell he was like, yo, as soon as these stars are gone, I'm going back in there and I'm going to try to land my Hail Mary and win my Cinderella story that way. It's not going to be, you know, by no silly rule violation. I'm going out there and I'm taking the title from the champ. So shout out to Anthony Smith for performing like a man, even though he was outclassed skill-wise by John Jones. So we got to shout out both men for that. Same thing with Woodley and Usman. Woodley could have just packed it in and gone home, but he was trying the whole time. And back to that fight, Usman just dominated someone who earned their black belt in jiu-jitsu. I mean, I can go on and on and on about how impressive that performance was. So if anybody tells you that performance was dull, they didn't know what they were watching, but we want to tell you what that was. I'm not going to put you down. I want to show you why that was such a great performance. He just dominated a newly minted jiu-jitsu black belt. And in order to get your black belt in jiu-jitsu, it takes 10 years of consistent rolling, practice, and execution to achieve that level of, well, not perfection, but to achieve that level of accomplishment in jiu-jitsu. It takes a very long time. And then get dominated by someone like that. Like Usman said, he's not the best at stand-up. He gets really sloppy. He's not the best wrestler. He was only a D2 wrestler. He, you know, was not... there were some things that Woodley could have done at certain points to, you know, get up. But when it came to mixing it up, Usman does the damn thing. So shout out to him. Shout out to Bones Jones. That's everything I got for you guys. Make sure you drop your thoughts down in the comment section below. Like I said, make sure you subscribe. Rob and I will be coming out with more videos a little more frequently. And hopefully we'll be starting to do them together again soon. Hit us up on social media. Like I've been telling you guys, we are very active on social media. Capital of Combat, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find us on there. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, fight on.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
The Black Street Fighter.